And welcome back to another Java tutorial. My name is Kelvin from Firehawk Productions. In the last video, I taught you guys how to use different kinds of operators. So things like less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, equals, as well as does not equal to. And in this tutorial, I'll be teaching you things called loops. And so what is a loop? Well, a loop allows you to keep executing a block of code over and over again until you tell it to stop. And this is really helpful, and I'll just show you why. So first I'm going to create a new class, and I'm just going to call it loops example. Okay, so as always, main method. Alright, so we're going to be learning about two different types of loops today. The first one is known as the for loop, and I'm just going to type it out here. Alright, and the second type of loop, sorry, just let me comment out, end for loop. And remember, it's always good to add comments to your code so that people will understand what exactly you're doing. Okay, and the second type of loop we'll be learning is called the while loop, like this. Okay. Okay, so let's start with the while loop because it's much easier to understand. So what happens here? You can have, okay, so what this means is while the condition in this bracket is true, keep running anything in here. All right, so let's give it a simple condition. So up here, I'm gonna create a new variable. Let's just say x, or you know what? Instead of calling it x, I've been calling it x so many times. Let's call it number equals 0. And in the condition for the while loop, I'm going to put while number is less than 10, then what do we want to do? Well, let's just say we want to print out what the number is. System.out.println number. Okay. Oh, sorry. Java's telling me this is unreachable because I have this for loop up here. So I'm just gonna comment all of this out for now. Okay. So what do we have here? It says while number is less than 10, print out number. In this case, if I just leave my code like this, the while loop will run forever because the variable number is equal to 0 and it'll never reach 10. Okay, so while the number is less than 10, then system.out.println number. And since we specified number as 0, then the number will always be less than 10 because it's always going to stay at 0. So if I just leave my block of code like this, then the while loop will run forever. This is a really bad idea because then the system will always print number, which means it'll print 0 continuously until the end of time. And this is really dangerous because this is called an infinite loop, so a loop that never ends. And usually this leads to things like your program crashing or it becomes really unstable. So what we want to do is specify a breaking point or a way to break out of the loop. And in order to do that, how about we add 1 to number every single time that the loop is passed. So for me to do this, all you have to do is type in number equals number plus 1. And what does this mean? It means that if my number, okay, so let's go through the loop the first time. Number equals 0. So it goes through here. System.outprint 0. So it prints out 0. And then what happens after that? Well, the number, which is originally 0, now equals the number, which is 0, plus 1. So now number equals 1. All right. So if we go through the loop the second time, then number is now 1. Is it less than 10? Yes. So the loop will keep running. And then it'll print out 1. And then number now equals 1, or number equals 1 plus 1, which is 2. And so it keeps going all the way until you reach to 9. Because once it gets to 10, then this loop will no longer run, since our breaking point here is if the number is less than 10, and 10 is not less than 10, so therefore it'll only print up to 9. Alright, so if you look at this statement here, number equals number plus 1, there are actually more ways to write this than what I wrote here. Another way to write this is if I just put number plus equals 1. And I'm just going to write a comment. This is the same thing as number equals number plus 1. And so the notation for doing this is whenever you see an addition sign followed by an equals sign, then it means number equals number plus 1. And actually, you can change this number to anything. You can change this number to 2, so that it'll print out all the even numbers. And if I change this to 3, it'll print out the multiples of 3. And so I'll tell you why. So first, you start with 0, and is 0 less than 10? Yes. So it prints out 0. Then when you go through the loop again, 0 now plus equals 2. So 0 plus 2 is 2. Then it'll go through the loop again because 2 is less than 10, and then it'll print out 2. And then now number equals 2 plus equals 2, which is 2 plus 2, which is 4. And then it'll go through it again all the way until it reaches to 8. And the third way to write this, so in our case we did number plus equals 1, which means you add 1 to number after every loop. Okay, so another way to write this is if you're just adding 1 every time, and it's really easy to just do number plus plus. And again, this is the same thing as saying number equals number plus 1. You're just saying number plus 1. And you can actually do this with minus minus, and those two are it. But for the other statement where we had plus equals 1, you can actually have plus equals 1, minus equals 1, multiplies equals 1, divide equals 1, as well as remainder equals 1. And this all means the same thing, which means, so if, you can play around with those and see what they do. But for now, I'm just going to keep it as number plus plus because it makes the most sense, because we want to add 1 to number every time the loop passes. Okay, so let's try running this. If I just press save and run. There we go. So you see here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it won't print 10 because 10 is not less than 10. Therefore, the loop stops when the number reaches 9. Okay, so that works. All right, I guess I'll just be teaching you the while loop this time, and I'll teach you the for loop in the next tutorial. The next video I will be making won't be the typical tutorial that I usually put out, but it will actually be an incorporation of all the things we've learned in the past 10 tutorials mashed up together, and I'm gonna make it so that you understand everything, much more and in depth. And once I go to, the next tutorial will be tutorial 11, but that will come after the the mashup video that I make after this one. So again, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you all next video.